Hey, how's it going, everybody? So I'm still very much in the 4th of July mood, even though it's July 5th right now, and I'm about to be July 6th actually here in Germany. And if you didn't watch my video from yesterday and 4th of July, that was an amazing video. Definitely go check it out. I had a lot of fun reacting to it. Now this is, or actually came up in my recommendations after I did the last one. It's the Star-Spangled Banner, as you've never heard it. As far as I know, the Star-Spangled Banner is the name of the American anthem. So, and from what I know, what I've heard about this video is it goes more into the detail as to what each individual verse means. So, you know, definitely don't learn anything about that here in Germany. So, let's check it out. Star-Spangled Banner, like you've never heard it before, or as you've never heard it. Let's go.
There was a lawyer once. His name was Francis Scott Key. He penned a song that I'm sure you're aware of. You've seen it. It's in most hymnals throughout our churches. It's called the National Anthem. It is our song as an American. We go, however, to a ball game. We stand in our church services and we sing the words of that song, and they float over our minds and our lips, and we don't even realize what we're singing. Most of us have memorized it as a child, but we've never really thought about what it means. Let me tell you a story.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Francis Scott Key was a lawyer in Baltimore. The colonies were engaged in vicious conflict with the mother country, Britain. Because of this
big L for Britain, big L. And I mean...
conflict and the protractedness of it, they had accumulated prisoners on both sides. The American colonies had prisoners and the British had prisoners. And the American government initiated a move. They went to the British and they said, let us negotiate for the release of these prisoners. They said, we want to send a man out to discuss this with you. They were holding the American prisoners in boats about 1,000 yards offshore. And they said, we want to send a man by the name of Francis Scott Key. He will come out and negotiate to see if we can make a mutual exchange. On the appointed day in a rowboat, he went out to this boat and he negotiated with the British officials. And they reached a conclusion that men could be exchanged on a one-for-one basis.
One for one, okay. So kind of like an eye for an eye kind of thing.
Francis Scott Key, jubilant with the fact that he'd been successful, went down below in the boats, and what he found was a cargo hold full of humanity, men.
Damn.
And he said, men, I've got news for you tonight. You're free. He said, tonight I have negotiated successfully your return to the colonies. He said, you'll be taken out of this boat, out of this filth, out of your chains. As he went back up on board to arrange for their passage to the shore, the admiral came and he said, we have a slight problem. He said, we will still honor our commitment to release these men, but it'll be merely academic after tonight.
Yeah.
It won't matter. And Francis Scott Key said, what do you mean? He said, well, Mr. Key,
there just had to be a catch, I mean, of course.
He said, tonight we have laid an ultimatum upon the colonies.
Huh.
Your people will either capitulate and lay down the colors of that flag that you think so much of.
Nope.
Or you see that fort right over there, Fort Henry? He said, we're going to remove it from the face of the earth.
Huh. Come and get it.
How are you going to do that? He said, if you will, scan the horizon of the sea. And as he looked, he could see hundreds of little dots. And he said, that's the entire British war fleet. He said, all of the gunpowder, all of the armament is being called upon to demolish that fort. It will be here within striking distance in a matter of about 2.5 hours. He said, the war is over. These men would be free anyway. He said, you can't shell that fort.
Ooh, damn. Kind of looks like a snowflake to some extent. Do those outlines actually still exist today? I'm very curious.
He said, that's a large fort. He said, it's full of women and children. He says, it's predominantly not a military fort. They said, don't worry about it. They said, we've left them a way out. And he said, what's that? He said, do you see that flag way up on the rampart? He said, we have told them that if they will lower that flag, the shelling will stop immediately. And we'll know that they've surrendered, and you'll now be under British rule. Francis Scott Key went down below and told the men what was about to happen. And they said, how many ships? He said, hundreds. The ships got closer. Francis Scott Key went back up on top and he said, men, I'll shout down to you what's going on as we watch. As twilight began to fall, and as the haze hung over the ocean as it does at sunset, suddenly the British war fleet unleashed.
God damn it.
He says the sound was deafening. There were so many guns that there were no reliefs. He said it was absolutely impossible to talk or hear. He said suddenly the sky, although dark, was suddenly lit.
Especially during the night, I mean.
He says from down below, all he could hear, the men, the prisoners.
I actually don't know how far cannons could actually shoot back then. Like, what's the distance that they would cover? I have no idea. Like, how far is this away? A couple 100 meters? Something like that?
Prisoners saying was, tell us where the flag is. What have they done with the flag? Is the flag still flying over the rampart? Tell us. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours into the shelling. Every time the bomb would explode and it would be close to the flag, they could see the flag in the illuminated red glare of that bomb, and Francis Scott Key would report down to the men below, it's still up. It's not down. The admiral came and he said, your people are insane. He said, what's the matter with them?
No, they're not insane.
He said, don't they understand this is an impossible situation? Francis Scott Key said he remembered what George Washington had said. He said the thing that sets the American Christian apart from all other people in the world is he will die on his feet before he'll live on his knees.
Yep.
The admiral said, we have now instructed all of the guns to focus on the rampart to take that flag down. He said, we don't understand something. Our reconnaissance tells us that that flag has been hit directly again and again and again, and yet it's still flying. We don't understand that.
God damn.
But he said, now we're about to bring every gun for the next 3 hours to bear on that point. Francis Scott Key said the barrage was unmerciful. All that he could hear.
Do you think that all of that would later on still lead, like, you know, all of them trying to defend the American flag, and then later on, not even 100 years later, you know, the Civil War will break out?
Was the men down below praying?
I don't actually remember. Did he say a year when this happened? Because he said, remember George Washington, so... Wait, this has to be... I'm actually not sure. I might be stupid right now.
The prayer. God, keep that flag flying where we last saw it. Sunrise came.
Nice hair, by the way.
He said there was a heavy mist hanging over the land, but the rampart was tall enough. There stood the flag, completely nondescript, in shreds. The flagpole itself was at a crazy angle, but the flag was still at the top. Francis Scott Key went aboard and immediately went into Fort Henry to see what had happened. And what he'd found had happened was that that flagpole and that flag had suffered repetitious direct hits.
Dude, it's actually incredible.
And when it had fallen,
still stand.
But men, fathers, who knew what it meant for that flag to be on the ground, although knowing that all of the British guns were trained on it, walked over and held it up humanly until they died. Their bodies were removed and others took their place. Francis Scott Key said what held that flagpole in place at that unusual angle were patriots' bodies. He penned the song, "Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming."
God damn.
Or
It's actually incredible to see, you know, his handwriting, how it actually was. It amazes. I don't know about you guys. I don't. It amazes me every time how. I mean, sure they made sure that surely they made sure to preserve this document as much as they can. You know, it's not like they didn't care about the documents back then, but just that it existed over years and years. You think that there's some lunatic out there, you know, who's genuinely just interested in destroying all of this, you know. So, but it's been preserved. It's crazy.
For the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that the flag was still there.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet fly and wave?
Star-Spangled.
O'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. The debt was demanded. The price.
You think when he wrote that, he actually already had a certain sing-sang, like a certain, you know, a certain musical background or a certain like idea behind it? Did he think that it was gonna sound like sound like an actual anthem later on? I'd be very curious. Probably did.
It was paid.
Oh, say, can you see?
It's a beautiful flag, by the way.
By the
Much more history and much more interesting than many other flags out there.
dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight.
I don't know what Corellius means.
O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming,
I also don't know what gallantly means.
and the
Kids,
rockets'
red glare,
the bombs bursting in air, gave proof
through
through
the.
the night.
It's kind of very slow, don't you think? It's a very slow version. It's almost like, you know, I mean, this is very emotional, but you know, I gotta put some, you know, some enthusiasm behind it almost.
That our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free
And the
home of the brave?
damn.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That's good shit right there. If you Google good shit on Google, if you type in good shit, that's what comes out. Good shit. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Psalm? Is that how you say it? Psalm? Well, I mean, beautiful. Actually, you know, let's go back to That's right there. You know, I actually didn't know about this. I got to be completely honest. I knew the anthem. I've heard it plenty of times. Um, mm, a buddy of mine who was actually in the U.S. military, who's a very very close friend of mine. He's a little bit older. He, obviously we talked a lot about his time in the military and all that, and the anthem is something that definitely comes up every now and then here and there. So I'm sure that some vets are gonna watch this video, this video of mine, just like other videos. And by the way, especially to all the vets out there, but not just all the vets, but other Americans, I very much appreciate you guys watching. It's at the end of the day, America is really a experiment if you look at it, right. It's an experiment. It was treated like that from the very beginning on. A successful experiment for a long, long time. I mean, who could have imagined that? Back then, just people said to Britain, no more. We don't like that. We're gonna create our own country. Sure, over the years, it took a long time for the countries to build as it is right now. For Germany, and then it was split up for a long, long time until finally become Germany, and just with the other European countries. But there were Germanic people, whatever it was called, for a long time. Around that area. We called Germanic, and fucking the Franks, and fucking just around, and all that, right? But I mean, the States was a completely, like, they've been there for 100 years, right? But the States has been, a lot of Americans that were over there. I mean, I think today, what is it, like 50% of Americans actually have some sort of German ancestry, besides obviously the British part, right? I think besides British or German is actually the biggest ancestry, and also plenty. I think I've heard, or what we've learned through a couple other videos, is that plenty of generals that took place that helped in the I think the Civil War, but I'm pretty sure also the Revolutionary War were actually Germans. So there seems to be a very long history between those two countries as well. Well, I mean, guys, appreciate every single one of you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah, let me know what else you want to see. I'll see you very, very soon, and yeah, talk to you later.